Hi everyone and welcome to the ColdStream 3 launch. I'm Lieven, CEO of Diabatix, and with Diabatix we introduced thermal generative design into the market and we wrapped it in the product ColdStream. Over the past year we have been working very hard to convert customer ideas and customer feedback into practice, and today we're taking the next step with the platform. In ColdStream 3 you will see that it revolves around three key areas to make the platform faster, more secure and more flexible than ever before. Now, to explain you the ins and outs of what's in there exactly in ColdStream 3, I invited our Head of Product and Operations, Roxanne, and our Head of R&D, Ine, to walk you through each of these key areas. Now, they won't do it alone. We also invited three guests from Toreon, Compute and Synera, who will support Ine and Roxanne in their explanation. So let's not stall it any longer and let's move on to our first speaker, Roxanne, and it's my absolute pleasure to pass the floor to her.
Hello everyone, and thank you, Lieven. My name is Roxanne, and I'm the Head of Product and Operations at Diabatix. As technology continues to advance, security becomes an increasingly critical issue for businesses and organizations of all sizes. At Diabatix, all aspects of security are treated with the highest priority. The same is true for ColdStream. Before highlighting the new security features included in ColdStream 3, we would like to give you an overview of the core security aspects of our platform. We partnered up with Toreon, a company specialized in cybersecurity, in order to address each aspect of security in the best possible way. We invited Siebe, the principal consultant from Toreon, to this webinar to give you an in-depth explanation. Hi, hello Siebe, thank you for joining this webinar. We're ready to listen to you.
All right, thank you for having me. I'm indeed Siebe de Rovere. I'm principal consultant at Toreon, and we at Toreon are a Belgian cybersecurity company, and we are supporting Diabatix with their cybersecurity challenges. As technology start and scale up, it's very important to take cybersecurity very seriously, because cyber trust has become one of the major barrier of trades in order to business with larger corporate and enterprise customers. So in order to make sure that Diabatix is ready to do business with larger corporations, we have created a cybersecurity roadmap which exists of a number of, I would say, major components. The first component that we take very seriously at Diabatix is governance, risk and compliance. So we are implementing an ISO 27001 information security management system, as we believe it is very important to adhere to industry standards. And ISO 27001 is, as you all probably know, the most famous and widely accepted standard within Europe when it comes to cybersecurity. So we're making sure that the ISO certificate is on the roadmap and will be obtained somewhere within the next year. The second aspect that we take very seriously within our roadmap is cloud security. Cloud security means that we need to think in a different way when it comes to security than traditionally when people were just protecting their traditional networks. And it was very important to keep attackers out. When it comes to cloud security, we are adopting a zero trust strategy, which means that we don't trust anyone on the network and that we monitor security at all points. So within our zero trust strategy, three elements are very important. The first element is managing the identity of everyone who has access to our cloud applications, to our cloud solutions, and making sure that best practices such as multi-factor authentication, conditional access management, but also the principle of least privilege is applied very well so that people have access to the data that they need in order to do their jobs well, but not more than that. The second principle that we apply within our cloud security strategy is defense of endpoints. People can access the cloud from any device at any point in time, so it's very important that we manage the endpoints that are connected to our cloud solutions. So we have implemented a cloud endpoint defender solution, which allows us to make sure that security best practices are applied on all endpoints that connect with our cloud solution, and that we can even block endpoints that do not conform with these cloud solution best practices. And our final main focus within our cloud strategy is data. We apply data classification best practices in order to make sure that customer data and intellectual property is even better protected than other data within the cloud, that only people that need access to this data have this data, and that we can even monitor where this data is being stored. So for instance, if someone tries to copy data from a well-protected cloud environment, a trigger is automatically created so that we can block this transfer of data to less well-protected environments. The final focus area of our security strategy within Diabatix is application security. As a product company, the product is the core and therefore must be well protected. And this is the reason why we have implemented a secure software development lifecycle within Diabatix based on OWASP-SAM. OWASP-SAM stands for Software Assurance Maturity Model, and is a maturity model created by the OWASP community, which is a well-known worldwide community that creates best practices for secure software development. And this means that we implement best practices within all phases of the secure software development lifecycle. For instance, when we think about the design, we apply threat modeling within Diabatix, which means that we look at the entire architecture of the application that we are trying to build. We look at the different components and at the transfer of data between the different components. And we analyze which technical threats are potentially being exploited within every component and during every transfer between the components, which allows us to create a very large list of, I would say, non-functional requirements, security requirements that then also need to be integrated within the solution. And only by doing security by design, by applying threat modeling, we are able to make sure that the solution is well protected. This is also a best practice that is becoming more and more mandatory in a lot of frameworks. For instance, the automotive industry, the medical industry are making this mandatory. So it's a really important and best practice, which is very important to apply. But we don't stop there. We are also applying security best practices within the other phases of software development. For instance, we are using secure coding guidelines and secure coding training for developers within the coding phase. We are applying different technologies such as static and dynamic code analysis tools to make sure that there are no security vulnerabilities within the code itself. And finally, of course, we are applying penetration tests before the code is put into production and is being actually used by customers such as yourselves. So to summarize, we at Torion, and of course Diabatix, our customer, takes cybersecurity very seriously, and we are focusing on three major points within our cyber strategy at this stage, which is governance, risk, and compliance by implementing ISO 27001. It is also cloud security, making sure that the cloud configuration on security is being handled very well. And finally, application security, making sure that that security is integrated within all the phases of the software development lifecycle. Yeah, this was me, Siebe. Thanks for having me.
All right, okay. Thank you very much, Siebe. It was a very clear explanation, so thanks for joining.
All right, thanks for having me.
From our collaboration with Torion, we defined a number of improvements included in ColdStream 3. The one that will be most visible for the user is single sign-on. Let's take a closer look at some of the key features of ColdStream 3's single sign-on advanced security. For those who may not be familiar with the term, single sign-on, or SSO, is a method of authentication that allows a user to log in to multiple applications and services using a single set of credentials, such as a username and password. SSO is particularly useful for businesses and organizations that use multiple software systems and tools, as it saves time and improves security by reducing the risk of weak passwords or forgotten logins. With SSO, IT administrators can also easily manage user access and permissions across all applications. Additionally, single sign-on can make onboarding and offboarding easier because it provides a centralized system for managing user access across multiple applications. Besides SSO, we would also like to highlight the already existing security layers. MFA, short for multi-factor authentication, is a security protocol that mandates users to provide multiple forms of indication to access an application or service. In ColdStream, users can enable a one-time code feature or opt for a physical security key in conjunction with their username and password. By requiring an additional layer of authentication, such as a one-time code sent to a mobile device or a physical security key, unauthorized access to a user's account is made more difficult, even if their login credentials have been compromised by hackers. In ColdStream, we also provide an activity log to track down all the actions that were taken. If a case was submitted or edited, who has submitted it, at what time, and so on. Also, a login history is included. For every user, you can check the login history or the login attempts over the past month. Last but not least, data encryption is an important aspect to protect confidential data. Encryption makes it nearly impossible for cybercriminals or other unauthorized parties to steal and misuse the data, since only those with an encryption key can decipher the data and reveal the true information. In ColdStream, data is encrypted from the beginning to the end. With ColdStream's 3 single sign-on feature added to the existing security layers already present, you can rest assured that your sensitive information is protected and only accessible by authorized users.
Thank you, Roxanne, for clearly explaining the single sign-on. My name is Ine, and I'm the head of R&D at Diabatix. Our complete R&D team has been working tirelessly to develop new features that will help you obtain your results faster than ever before. With a global speedup of 35%, we are confident that ColdStream 3 will exceed your expectations. This speedup in ColdStream 3 is a significant advantage. When it comes to thermal simulations, time is of the essence. Engineers need to quickly assess the impact of different design choices on the temperature distribution and heat transfer rates in their systems in order to make informed decisions and iterate towards the most optimal design. With ColdStream 3 faster speed, thermal simulations can now be performed much more quickly, allowing engineers to run more iterations in the same amount of time. This means that they can explore a wider range of design options, assess trade-offs between different objectives, and ultimately arrive at the best possible design solution in a shorter amount of time. Additionally, the faster speed can enable engineers to perform more complex simulations than they have been before, such as those involving larger models or more advanced physics. This means that they can really push the boundaries of what is possible and achieve more accurate and reliable results, even for the most challenging engineering problems. So in short, the 35% speedup in ColdStream 3 is a real game changer, enabling engineers to work faster, explore more options, and achieve better results. So how did we achieve this speedup? Let me walk you through the different components. First, we have improved our initialization technique, which brings the starting point of our design process closer to the final targets. This allows us to get to fastest and most optimal design. Secondly, we have introduced a new CFD solver algorithm that uses sub-time stepping to reduce the number of iterations that need to be solved. This has no effect on accuracy, but it does have a significant effect on the speed. Thirdly, we have upgraded Python, resulting in a 10% improvement in speed. Besides that, we have also introduced automatic mesh refinement during the design process, which captures all the proper physics and all the detailed fields. This allows for coarser resolutions in regions of less interest without sacrificing any accuracy. Additionally, we have improved our post-processing step to go to a full manufacturable design. Our algorithms work faster and more efficiently when combining different constraints such as minimal feature size, channel width, curvature, and more. We've also added new settings to our manufacturing libraries. For 3D printing, for example, we have added overhang angles, unsupported cantilever lengths, unsupported bridge lengths, so all of this to avoid additional steps after design delivery. Diabatix has partnered with Compute, a leading HPC software company, to provide the compute capacity to power ColdStream 3's advanced capabilities. With their powerful compute clusters and robust software stack, we are able to run large-scale simulations and complex analysis that would be impossible to perform on traditional desktop computers. Therefore, we've also invited Jago from Compute to speak today, so I'm very happy to pass the floor to him. Hey Jago, thanks for joining us at this ColdStream 3 launch. Can you explain us a little bit more on why Compute is a really cost-effective solution for ColdStream and other similar programs?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you, Ine, for inviting me today. It's a pleasure to be in the launch of the ColdStream 3 platform. Glad to see that you are on the third version and keeping regular updates. So kudos to you, first of all. And yeah, I can talk a little bit about Compute. So we are a private cloud provider born in Sweden in the year 2002 with the aim of bringing HPC to simulation engineers in an easy way, so they can forget about all the hassle of running in a cloud or running in a big HPC system. So we have two main focuses that are mainly the security of the solution and also the performance. So we started working with you at Diabatix 3-4 years ago, and it's been a very pleasant experience. As you know, we are all the time concentrating on giving the best performance. So for that, what we do is to provide always bare metal nodes that are InfiniBand interconnected, and we are always trying to find the latest generation possible, and that gives the best performance for the CA loads. With that, we ensure that when you submit a simulation to the ColdStream platform, it performs in the best way by combining the correct hardware for it with the right amount of memory, correct memory access, and the right tuning and setup for it. That's what we do. That's one of the advantages, since we work in this very niche world that is the CA world only. So we can focus on that and specialize on finding the best hardware and tune it in the right way. In the other side, as I said, we are a private cloud provider. That means that we do not mount on top of other providers, but instead we operate all the layers from top to bottom. So we have our own data center in Sweden. This data center is, of course, ISO certified. So we always follow the international standards of security. And we ensure that we can control everything and customize the needs to our customers, as is in this case. So we can adapt ourselves to be integrated in your workflows and in your multi-platform system. So we receive the simulations, those are computed, and you get the results back in the best time possible without any issues or with any problems with leaking of data or anything like that. We know that that's the critical part when you try to run in the cloud. And last but not least, I would also like to comment that we are a sustainable solution. We are using mostly renewable energies and energies coming from CO2-free sources. Since we are based in Sweden, it's a country that is very committed with this and has the aim to be carbon-free by 2040. And we are very close to that number, so probably that will come before that, hopefully.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. That was very clear. And thanks for joining us.
You're very welcome.
We've already discussed how ColdStream 3 can accelerate your calculations. But there's more. You can now expedite your entire workflow with the introduction of our new feature, the submission queue. This streamlined feature allows you to submit your thermal design cases with ease and efficiency. Say goodbye to waiting for running cases to finish before submitting a new one. The submission process remains unchanged, but if the desired credits are not available, the case will go into a queue system. Here you can set a priority for each case submitted, and the system will address each one promptly as soon as computational space becomes available. What's more, the admin user can manage the queue by changing priorities and the order of cases. This way you can optimize your computational resources to the fullest potential. But that's not all. ColdStream 3 also offers integrations that allow for seamless communication between our platform and other software applications, streamlining data transfer and processes. Take a look at our integrations page, where you will find an overview to integrate with multiple software and platforms, such as Autodesk Inventor, Ansys Fluent, Synera, Slack, Zapier, and so on. Whether you want to integrate with your communication channels, your CAD software, simulation software, or other CAE tools you're using, we've got your back. For even more customization, our API lets you create tailor-made integrations to automate your workflow and eliminate tedious manual tasks. With ColdStream 3's submission queue feature and integration possibilities, you'll have everything you need to optimize your workflow, boost productivity, and achieve your goals efficiently. Let's listen to the people from Synera who will demonstrate how to easily integrate ColdStream into your workflow.
Thanks for the intro, Roxanne. My name is Andrew Sutterelli, and I'm the software partnership lead at Synera. And thanks for inviting Synera to be part of the launch of ColdStream 3. I'm really excited to be here to also announce the start of the partnership between Diabatix and Synera. Around $300 billion of value is lost every year through inefficient processes. Engineers waste significant time by constantly repeating the same manual job, whether it's in their CAD program, CE program, or CAM program. At Synera, we've built the leading visual programming language for designers, engineers, and analysts. Our mantra is simple: connected engineering. Connected engineering enables engineers to accelerate product development by eliminating countless manual iteration loops and by giving everyone the opportunity at any time to store, access, and reuse valuable knowledge generated by themselves or even their colleagues. In contrast to conventional product development, you never again need to start from scratch. Synera accelerates the digitalization of engineering knowledge, for example, enabling automotive engineers to design more performant thermal management devices like battery cold plates, which are so critical now with the transition to e-mobility. By connecting Synera and ColdStream together, engineers will be able to ensure that these new highly optimized designs coming out of ColdStream are able to tie back into their existing CAD, CE, or CAM workflows, like incorporating the design of the latest battery pack into a new crash simulation for the next generation e-mobility vehicle. As part of today's partnership announcement, we're announcing our joint intent to bring forth a connector for ColdStream to the Synera marketplace. Thanks to the new secure API connectivity of ColdStream 3, I'll be able to share a taste of what the first version of that integration will look like. The team at Diabatix and Synera have been hard at work over the past few weeks to enable Diabatix users to seamlessly remote control ColdStream directly within the Synera workflow. I would like to give a special thanks to Akil Mora from Synera for his hard work to get this workflow fully operational. Now let's jump into Synera. Here we can see the Synera environment, where we set up a workflow using ColdStream for designing a battery cold plate, allowing us to seamlessly generate new variants as our designer may be iterating through on different sizes or shapes for battery modules. So step one, we're going to connect to the ColdStream environment using their secure API. Then we'll start defining different regions for the fluid and solid. Here, all the material parameters are fully exposed for both fluid and solid matter states. Of course, we need to apply some boundary conditions. What simulation is complete without them? And because we have this visual environment, Akil's added some nice diagrams to help us pick the appropriate fluid model based on Reynolds number, so that we have some engineering knowledge really captured inside our workflow, no longer having to make guesses at what is the best approach. Inlets and outlets are now added for the fluid flow. Again, very easy in the visual environment to see the data flowing between different stages of our analysis. We'll solve the simulation and then retrieve some of the results, generating a few plots, in this case, even capturing the full 3D temperature distribution inside the cold plate. The generative cold plate can now be connected back to the rest of our existing CAD, CAM, and CAE processes. This workflow, however, can now be recycled into different projects, adapting to changes in geometries, material properties, boundary conditions, and even more, allowing us to easily rerun without the need to redo each step in this process again from scratch, saving valuable time and eliminating entry points for possible mistakes. This concludes the short teaser that we prepared today on the integration between ColdStream and Synera. If any of you watching have any interest in creating a connected engineering workflow with Synera and ColdStream, please don't hesitate to reach out to me at my email listed here on the screen. Thanks again to Roxanne for inviting Synera and myself to be part of the ColdStream 3 launch. I'm really looking forward to the start of this partnership.
ColdStream 3 introduces also another new powerful feature. You can now enable rotation in simulations and designs using a technique called the multiple reference frame. This approach allows us to simulate systems that involve rotating components such as fans, turbines, or impellers, and to optimize the performance of rotating components as requested by several of our customers. Multiple reference frame, or MRF in short, refers to the fact that the flow is computed using both a rotating and a stationary reference frame. So the MRF approach works by dividing a simulation domain into 2 or more reference frames, each representing a distinct region with a different rotational speed. These reference frames are connected by a set of coupling equations that ensure a smooth transition between the flow between them. In this method, the rotating parts of a system are assumed to remain stationary, while the surrounding fluid is considered to be rotating around them. This is achieved by introducing additional source term in the equations of motion, which account for the centrifugal and Coriolis forces generated by the rotation. The equations are then solved in a reference frame that is rotating or translating at the same speed as the geometry. By using the MRF approach, we can reduce the computational cost of simulating rotating systems compared to the more computationally expensive sliding mesh approach. We have seen that rotation is accounted for with additional forces, but as explained, this requires the creation of an MRF zone or a rotating zone. And to create a rotating zone, a small volumetric zone of mesh cells around the rotating body is defined. This zone includes the rotating parts and extends to upstream and downstream sections where a relatively uniform flow field exists. Defining this zone can be a tedious task, but it's fully automated in ColdStream, so no need to worry. So, in summary, the MRF approach is a powerful tool for simulating and optimizing rotating systems in thermal engineering designs. We are very excited to bring this feature to our customers as part of ColdStream 3 and look forward to seeing the impact it can make in engineering design.
Thank you all for joining us today for this webinar on ColdStream 3. We hope you found it very interesting and helpful in understanding our software's new capabilities. We are excited to see the positive impact of these new features on our customers, and we appreciate your interest and support. If you want to explore ColdStream 3 yourself, just let me know and we'll get you on board. And remember, if you want your thermal management software to be fast, secure, and flexible, ColdStream 3 is the way to go.